Good to see you again. So the topic of this conversation is how to choose a life partner. It's a very important video. So I'm going to take you through 15 steps. So we start off number 1. So you want to find somebody who you find attractive. Makes sense, doesn't it? Someone who looks good, well proportioned, and they're healthy. Okay. Step 2, IQ and status. So women tend to, typically that women will sort for men who have higher IQ and higher status to themselves. And this makes sense when you think that the woman is the one who becomes quite vulnerable when she's pregnant and nursing a small child, that she needs to trust that she has a man who has the power and the strength and the ability and the capability to protect her and take care of her. Now, there's a problem which has arisen in the last 20, 30 years, in that as women get more educated, and the more women are now coming out of universities with degrees than men, and they get their PhDs and they're going out there into the corporate world and moving up in the world, and then they find themselves at 30 years of age and they're looking around and they can't find anyone. The archetypal example is the female lawyer. Lawyers, to get to the top, they have to work about 80 hours a week. So then the other woman decides she wants to be a lawyer, and she gets out and she's working 80 hours a week. Well, she doesn't have much of a social life, and then she gets to 30 years of age. She looks around and she can't find anyone. So, and then you get men, the MGTOW men who go, bugger this, and they just go their own way. So, in choosing a life partner, just be aware that you will sort, whether you're a man or a woman, you will naturally sort for IQ and status. You'll go one way or the other depending on the man or the woman. And then step 3, point 3, is education, career and income. So it sort of makes sense to hook up with someone who has a similar educational standard to yourself, because their education could take them into a career and an income that you and your friends can feel comfortable with. Point 4 is lifestyle. So lifestyle. Now, I remember some years ago, I was watching a training video, NLP training video by Michael Hall. It was held in America, and there was a young man from New York. And he said to Michael, he says, look, there I am. I'm at the traffic lights, and there's this really hot young woman, and she's just there. And he says, but I don't know what to say. He says, look, can you give me some NLP tips to pick her up? And Michael just looked at him, this guy, and he goes, forget it. He says, look, if you want to get into a relationship with someone, it's best if you find someone who shares a similar lifestyle to you. So it's just like if you see this person over and over again, you see the person at the shopping centre, you see them at the tennis club, you see them in the library, you see them at various times, well then you already like are inhabiting a similar environment. But just to find someone, it may work out. You may just see some random person on the street and you hook up with them. And it has worked out for people before. But it's something to consider, that you ideally you want to share a similar lifestyle. And this will come to diet, to the types of food that you eat, and exercise routine. And just be aware that if you hook up with somebody who eats junk food and they have to exercise, they make themselves go to the gym, then it's unlikely they're going to be able to sustain it. So it's up to you. But my suggestion would be to get your own acting together, clean up your own room, so to speak. Stop using the alcohol and the drugs and the cigarettes and eating junk food, and just be a little bit more conservative. Sorry about that, I got something in my throat. So where were we? Okay, lifestyle, time to bed. So if you get in a relationship with someone, it's ideally you want to be going to bed at the same time and getting up at the same time in the morning. If it's very disparate, it's going to cause conflict. And then we come to step 5, which is the environment. What is the environment in which you would flourish? And that can also be like where you're located. So do you want to live near the beach or on a rural property or in a city, in an apartment? What really suits you as you move through life? And then it comes back into your home. And are you the sort of person who switches on the television before breakfast? And that thought makes me just want to go, who in their right mind would do that? So it's just like, what's that home environment going to look like, sound like, and feel like? Because you want it to sync. And then we come to step 6, which is your interests and your passions. So what are your interests? And what are you really passionate about? Because the closer they are to your partner, then the easier it's going to be. The easier it's going to be. Because if one of you has an interest in tennis, but the other one wants to surf or ski, and you're trying to do the same thing on the same weekend, it's just like it's not going to work. But if you share similar interests and similar passions, you will find yourself naturally just flowing together. And then we get to step 7, which is culture, religion, and ethnicity. So it's really useful to connect with someone, have a relation with someone who shares a similar culture, shares a similar religion and ethnicity. Now, I know the world's becoming more diverse and multicultural and enriched, but is it really? So when you think about it, if you're, say, a white Christian male, do you really want to get married to a Chinese Zen Buddhist? To think about the differences in culture, religion, ethnicity, lifestyle, values, the whole works. And then we get to step 8. So public holidays. So what do you do on public holidays? Because people naturally self-segregate into their ethnic, religious, tribal, racial groups. And that is really evident when it comes to public holidays, religious holidays, weekends, that sort of thing. So just look at what you naturally do, which is a bit different to dating. And then step 9, it's like the partner's family. So this might be just a little point, but do you get on with your partner's family? And could both sets of parents get on with each other? Now you can see what I'm doing as I'm going through these steps. For me, it's very important to sort for sameness. Like in a relationship, I want sameness. I don't want difference. Unless that difference is culturally enriching. You know, I was born in England, I'm Australian, and I've tried a lot of different diets. But I actually go basically I eat like an English type diet. You know, meat and 3 veg. So I could probably, so what I don't mind going, I like going to Malaysia because I can get curry and rice and that sort of thing. But I could probably go to Israel, Middle East, and eat some of their food. But when I was in Malaysia, I had some really good friends there, and they were Chinese. And when we really got to know each other and relaxed, they just wanted to go to Chinese restaurants. I wanted to go to Malay restaurants or Thai restaurants. And you can see there's actually a difference, which creates like a little bit of tension. So where are we now? Step 11. Now we get to personality type. This is when it starts to get really important. You've got to get an understanding of personality type. And I got to suggest that you maybe learn a little bit about the Myers-Briggs. Now I've got some links in the box below. There's the Myers-Briggs, there's the big 5 and the big 8, and then there's other ones too. I just make it, for me, I find it quite simple to stay with the Myers-Briggs. And you're looking for those distinctions between the NTs, the NFs, the SJs and the SPs. And of course, there's a major distinction there on the dimension of how you make a decision based upon facts and logic or feelings. And that's really evident now in the West, especially. Like, how do you make a decision? Is it based upon facts and logic or feelings? So you've got to really watch out for the FEs. Personality types, and then you get the finer step 12. You go for the finer distinctions of personality type with the NLP Meta Programs. I've got some videos on that, some articles on my website, and there are some ones which stand out, like, do you sort for sameness or difference? Because a person who sorts for sameness will want to eat the same thing, do the same activities, etc. The one who sorts for difference will want to eat different foods, go to different places, and they get bored doing the same thing over and over again. And then, do you match or do you mismatch? Like, do you agree or do you disagree? So there are some basic meta programs which are worth taking into consideration. You know, are you a judger or a perceiver? Do you like are you conscientious? Do you like structure and order in your life? Do you like to be on time? Or are you a perceiver, much more open to ideas and possibilities, but find that you change your mind and that you're often late? You won't. The perceivers don't think they're late. They think they're on time. But to judges, they're late. So there are major distinctions you need to be aware of. And then we get to step 13, which is politics. Now, it used to be that you don't talk about, when your family gets together, you don't talk about sex, politics, and religion. Now, I think it's really important to talk about politics and religion with friends and family, especially in this multiculturally enriched world that we're living in now. You have to talk about it. So then it's just like, okay, you can do a test. There's a political compass test. So you map yourself out in the political spectrum: left, right, authoritarian, libertarian. You want to find out where you're positioned. Because even though you may not talk politics, have an interest in politics, those values drive your behaviour. Which then takes us to values, step 14, values. Values determine every decision we make. And basically everything I've just talked about, step 1 to 13, you could reduce to values. So it's like, what's important to you in life? What's important to you in a relationship? What's important to you in a career? What's important to you about your health, etc., etc. And you get the away from values and the towards values. So you get like a push-pull. Now, I've done a couple of videos on values elicitation, and there's a page on my website. It's really important to be able to elicit values, recognize values, and to do it in a really formal way. Now, I know a lot of people, when they're dating, they actually are eliciting values and interests, meta programs, passions, etc. They're actually doing that. We'll ask questions. But here you really want to sit, once you get past the initial phases, you want to sit down and structure it. Because you'll find, because the values are actually ranked in hierarchies, and you want to find out which ones override the other ones, which ones are most important. And one of the reasons being is because there's some situations, like step 15, how to parent children, how to bring up children, because this is when your values will really come into play. They'll become really apparent when you're actually parenting children. And if you have values conflict with your partner about how to bring up the kids, it'll create conflict. And if in your personal relationship, and if that conflict is too great, you could end up breaking up with your partner, getting a divorce, then the poor kids have got a sole parent, or they've got to go from one parent to another, and it's not really good for the kids. It's not really good, especially for the kids, not good for the parents, not good for society. So, how to choose a life partner? There's 15 points that I've laid out for you. It's for you to accept or reject, but if you find any of those points useful for consideration, then it's been worth making this video. So on that point, perhaps you could let me know in the comments box below, because you're still here, so I thank you for being here. So the video couldn't be that bad, but please let me know how I could actually improve the video. And if you like the video, please share it with your friends and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again. And remember to keep on challenging everything for the truth. I've spent my entire life doing that, and I would like to share some of my discoveries with you. Whether you're an atheist or believe in a higher power, my book on God is sure to get you thinking. And part and parcel of spirituality is learning how to work with your unconscious mind, such that you can quieten the mind and get yourself to sleep when you need to. And that includes the ability to banish bad habits like cigarettes, marijuana, alcohol, chocolate, and overeating. And as a foundation to a fulfilling life, I believe everyone needs to learn how to work with their unconscious mind, how to explore deep trance and states of deep meditation. If you want to connect, you can find me on Facebook at Abbey Eagle School of Meditation.